Battle Through the Heavens God, the Flame Emperor Chapter 57, The Situation of All Parties. Uura's blue-colored Dochi and the Grey Guardian's silver Thunder-type Dochi viciously smashed together, but the strange thing was that every time the two fought each other, they were almost evenly matched. Uura and Luyin were constantly circling with the Grey Guardian. Xiaoyan sat down with his legs crossed, his body became crazy at the moment, and even the space around his body was shattered. Xiaoyan also knew that he was at the peak of the initial level of 3-star Dode, and he was only one step away from the mid-level of the 3-star Dode. The vindictive energy in his body is already full, and only next step is the key to breakthrough. On the other hand, look at the other 5 battles. In the first place, Wang Zhong was fighting against a guardian. I saw that the black cloth in Wang Zhong's eyes had disappeared without a trace. Wang Zhong also knows that the strength of this guardian must be more than the level of the peak of 3-star Dode, so he will do his best as soon as he makes a move. The black cloth on his forehead was slowly removed by Wang Zhong, and strong breaths emanated from Wang Zhong's body, which was also at the peak of 3-star Dode. The black sword behind is also exuding terrifying power at this moment. Wang Zhong has always been called the sword madman in the past. When he competed with others, he killed many contestants because he did not control his sword properly. In other words, this Wang Zhong is known as the sword maniac, when he gets out of control. And the black cloth at the eyes is the core that controls Wang Zhong's loss of control. Now that Wang Zhong has taken off the black cloth, it means that Wang Zhong has entered a point where he may lose control at any time. Sword King City King Zhong, please enlighten me, Wang Zhong said to the guardian in front of him. The guardian in front of Wang Zhong also frowned. Obviously, the guardian felt a terrifying power from Wang Zhong's strong eyes and the giant sword in his hand, and a war was about to break out. The second place, Berserker Sun Ming. Berserker Sun Ming is called Berserker for a reason. His body has the bloodline of a Berserker since he was a child, and he can use his body to instantly increase his strength to a new level. As soon as Sun Ming came up, he began to go crazy. His clothes exploded, revealing his burly figure, and some blue veins burst out in varying degrees on his muscles, and his strength also burst out at this moment. The peak of 3-star Dode. Sun Ming also did not wait for the guardian to do anything, and directly used his body as the best means to attack the guardian in front of him. The most powerful thing on a berserker is the physical strength, which is pushing its power to the limit. The third place is Shen Su and Wu Huan. The living dead looked gloomily at a guardian in front of him. Wu Huan was the main attacker, and Shen Su was the assistant. However, after the fierce battle between Wu Huan and the guardian, the fight was inextricable. However, the living dead don't dare to inflate too much, because the guardians they are facing are full of fire attribute aura, and they are suppressed to varying degrees. For the living dead, the fire attribute aura is simply his nemesis. Damn it. The living dead were also suppressed to death by the guardian in front of them, and their whole body strength was limited by 9 out of 10. I attack the front, you attack at the back. Wu Huan also saw the situation of the living dead and couldn't help but say, the fourth place, Feng Yi and Yao Mei. This is the most interesting part of the whole battle. The team composed of Feng Yi's sophistication and enchanting aura makes people seem to have a hard time, but the guardian is not weak, and will not show mercy to such beauties. The demon charm is constantly roaming and consuming the guardian. With her body and do skills, Feng Yi exudes a terrifying do-chi all over her body, and uses her soul attack to assist the demon charm. Obviously, the battle here will not end in a short period of time, because the two women do not have a particularly tyrannical means of attack, but fighting to consume and waiting for support is only their method. The fifth place was Xiaoyan and the others. The sixth place is composed of other powerhouses in the main hall. Although there are hundreds of people besieging a guardian, it can vaguely seem that this guardian is the most powerful of the 6 guardians, even if he has just woken up and his strength has not recovered. The guardian in front of him is the most powerful one. The strength is also a half-step 4-star Dode. You must know that the peak of the 3-star Dode and the 4-star Dode are not at the same level. If it is said that the peak of the 3-star Dode is the strongest in capturing the fortunes, then the half-step 4-star Dode can handle 10 peaks of the 3-star Dode. Although there are hundreds of people fighting in this place, some of them are inevitably talented and powerful, but obviously no one is going to provoke them. they are just constantly dealing with the Guardian. Boom boom boom. Yuura's whole body is covered in cyan vindictive aura, and she is constantly dealing with the Grey Guardian. The strange thing is that since the appearance of Yuura's cyan vindictive aura, the silver spear of the Grey Guardian seems to have disappeared. But Yuura was also defeated by the Grey Guardians. Attack. Obviously, Yuura's mid-level strength of 3-star Dode is still a little weak for this Grey Guardian who's at the peak of 3-star Dode. Lu Yin is obviously also very surprised by the strength of this Grey Guardian. You must know that even the powerhouse of the peak 3-star Dode has been frozen by her own ice Doqi. How could it be impossible for the Grey Guardian to delay for even a second? In fact, Lu Yin's strength is also extremely tyrannical. When Xiaoyan and the Grey Guardian attacked, the ice-cold Doqi continued to infiltrate the Guardian's feet silently, and hold the Grey Guardian to fight. Even his experience is extremely rich, but he was not able to discover it first. When he found out that the ice-cold Doqi was about to freeze him, the thunder-type Doqi in his whole body exploded instantly, and he used the explosive power of the thunder to break free. Puff puff. Lu Yin touched the body of the icy blue bird with both hands, and then the icy blue bird also swelled up in an instant. Its body became more than several times larger, and its breath also swelled at this moment, and it climbed impressively to a level comparable to that peak of a 3-star Dode. At the same time, Lu Yin's aura seemed to be a little sluggish, and her face was pale. The ice blue bird exuded cold air all over, and the space around it couldn't help but freeze. Xiao Han, come on. Attack with this big sister. Lu Yin also dragged her weak body. Lu Yin is the proud son of heaven in the city of 10,000 beasts. They practiced in the city of 10,000 beasts by borrowing the power of monsters from themselves, or lending their power to monsters, so as to exude powerful power. Obviously, what Lu Yin did at this time was to lend all her strength to Xiao Han, so that Xiao Han had enough strength to match the Guardian, because she knew that even if her strength was rising at this time, she couldn't defeat the Guardian. On the contrary, lending her power to Xiao Han may be able to delay the Guardian for some time, with Xiao Han's chill attack. And Lu Yin is not worried that Xiao Han will fight back after absorbing her own power, because she lived with Xiao Han since she was. Chapter 58, The Light of the Moon. Damn it! This Guardian's strength is so strong. Yuura also found some clues, when she was constantly dealing with the Grey Guardian. The Guardian seemed to be weak every time he attacked, and he did not attack his vital points, and there was a crucial problem. It seems that the strength of this Guardian is more and more brave. It stands to reason that a normal person will become weaker and weaker as the battle time gets longer and longer. Why is this Guardian like this? Before Yuura had time to think about it, a new round of attacks from the Grey Guardian came whistling again. Breakthrough. When Yuura was dealing with the Grey Guardian, Lu Yin was so weak and tired that she was on the ground. There was a hint of pity in the eyes of a huge ice beast, as if she was distressed for her master, and then she spread her wings to face the Grey Guardian attacked and left in the field. Pieces of ice blue feathers fell off the wings of the ice giant beast, and whizzed away at the Grey Guardian. Yuura and the Grey Guardian face each other with their palms. The terrifying ice blue feather also arrived at this moment. Boom boom boom. The Grey Guardian didn't pay much attention to the attack of this ice giant beast, and then a silver light shield appeared on the surface of his body, covering his entire body. According to what the Grey Guardian thought, the icy blue feathers attacked his lightning shield and stopped, and then the energies shattered each other, but a strange scene came out. The ice blue feathers became very sharp as the speed increased, and the feathers carried an amazing cold air. The feathers actually passed through the light shield of the Grey Guardian and attacked the Grey Guardian directly. The ice blue feather attacked through the light shield and landed on the Grey Guardian. Immediately, small ice cubes appeared on the Guardian's body where the feathers attacked. Bang bang bang. The Grey Guardian obviously did not expect that the feather attack of this icy giant beast would be so powerful that it could break through his own defense, and his aura instantly increased, which feathers were as sharp as an arrows, and the feathers attached to him were shattered. Puff puff. The ice cubes condensed by the icy blue feathers were shattered by the Grey Guardian. Even the Grey Guardians didn't notice that. These shattered ice blue feathers turned into tiny pieces and fell into this wide hall. With the delay of time, even breathing became difficult, and the grudges were too strong. There has been some slowness in both cohesion. This little beast is really not easy. The attentive Yura was also shocked by the Grey Guardian in an instant. She took a few steps back to stabilize her figure, and immediately discovered the power of Lu Yin's little beast. Later, Yura also turned her head and glanced at Xiao Yan, and found that the latter was at a critical point at this time. Immediately, the mysterious rune on her forehead also slowly lit up. This is the only way now. Xiao Yan, thank you for helping me so much, and now just focus to break through, and leave it to me. It's time for me to protect you, after taking care of me for so long. Anyway, I'll accept the inheritance when I go back this time. Yura also looked at Xiao Yan and smiled, and then she glanced around, and found that a monstrous situation broke out in every battle circle. They also knew that as time went by, the strength of the Guardians is almost restored. Once the strength of these Guardians is fully restored, they will become all powerhouses of 4-star Dode level. At that time, the situation will be reluctant to bear this great fortune and only withdraw. After all, the 4-star Dode was a heaven and earth difference away from their 3-star Dode. Yura seemed to be muttering something, and the mysterious rune on her forehead also lit up at this moment, and Yura showed her hands open. Circles of pure white as jade energy emanated from Yura's forehead, and the breath made people feel as pure as the moon in the sky, full of ancient aura. In the field, the Grey Guardian and the ice blue giant beast were constantly attacking, and they were suddenly attracted by Yura's shocking aura. The light of the bright moon? How can it be? The Grey Guardian's pupils shrank, and then he looked at Yura with a bit of fear in his mouth. He also recognized what was on Yura's forehead at a glance. What it is. At this time, Lu Yin was also weakly looking at Yura, who was getting stronger and stronger. She was puzzled why Yura contained such terrifying and powerful power in her body. The light of the bright moon? The Golden Dragon King looked at Yura and said in surprise, Master, what is the light of the bright moon? Although Xiao Yan was in the process of breaking through, he was also curious. There are too many puzzles in this Dode continent, and that troubled Xiao Yan, and he could only ask for an answer from his master, the Golden Dragon King. The light of the bright moon, it is rumored that it is a power left by Fairy Moon in the world. After possessing the bright moon, you can pass some inheritance, and if you have the opportunity, you can get the true inheritance of Fairy Moon. However, this phenomenon is very rare. It is not these things that can really get Fairy Moon's inheritance. The Golden Dragon King said indifferently. The Fairy Moon? Xiao Yan was also surprised that anyone in this world who can be compared with immortals is a strong one, fighting immortals. The real peak powerhouse. Xiao Yan is surprised but still quiet. He can't be too ambitious. Let's break through to the mid-level of 3-star Dode first to solve the problem in front of him. Xiao Yan, you are too lucky. First you met the angel family, and now the bright moon fairy. It seems that all this proves something. The Golden Dragon King said in a voice that only he could hear. Yura's body continued to emit some pure white light from her forehead, and the power contained in that pure white light was pure and flawless, just like a newborn baby. But the guardians present knew that the terrifying power contained in this seemingly pure white light, even if they recovered to their peak, would not be enough to fight. When the moonlight wrapped the whole body of Yura in a circles, Yura's breath changed drastically. Originally, Yura, who was somewhat elegant and silent, exuded a gentle aura. Since that light possessed her body, she exuded a cold and pure power. Her lips slightly opened, and her whole body was surrounded by bright moonlight like rays of light, like an immortal descending from the earth, that came from this world. One move. She said something plain, and then she saw Yura turned into a moon, and went straight through the Grey Guardian. Puff puff. Damn. The Grey Guardian also vomited blood at this moment, that obviously get seriously injured, and then turned into 3 rays of light and injected into Xiao Yan, Yura, and Lu Yin. The 3 of them also knew that this was an immortal level Do skill, but they didn't have time to understand it carefully. At this moment, the people in the hall also know that the battle here is also decided at this moment. Then Yura was so weak that she was about to fall to the ground. Leave the rest to me. A gentle voice appeared, followed by a figure supporting Yura who was about to fall. Obviously, after using the power that does not belong to oneself, it will bring a big sequelae to that person. Yura also saw that the young man in front of him was carrying a heavy ruler and was surrounded by Chapter 59, Defeat 6 Guardians. Looking at Yura, who was weak in front of him, Xiaoyan also moved her to a resting place to take a good rest. Then, in the stunned eyes of the people in the hall, a dozen medicinal pills appeared in Xiaoyan's hand. The pill is surrounded by a faint pill aura, and people with discerning eyes can know that it comes from the hands of high-level alchemist. Moreover, there were dozens of them in the first place, and the people in the hall were stunned by such a wealth of medicinal pills. Eat it, you will recover faster after eating it. You won't have to use this kind of power again in the future. Xiaoyan was also helpless. Yuru had just used a power that did not belong to her to protect Xiaoyan. He also saw it in his eyes. He could do this by chance. Xiaoyan couldn't help but feel a little emotional, but Xiaoyan was not a long-winded person either. Knowing that although one guardian has been resolved, there are 5 other guardians who are also taking care of Yuru. Xiaoyan, you bastard. Why don't you come and help me? Wu Huan also saw that Xiaoyan and the others had ended their battle and couldn't help shouting loudly. But how could Xiaoyan have the same knowledge as this technique? If it is too late to avoid this kind of battle, how can he take the initiative to go up? It's always not wrong to go out and defend yourself. Except for Xiaoyan and the others, the battles in the other 5 places were also at a disadvantage. As for the Grey Guardian that Xiaoyan and the others faced, it was not because the Guardian was too weak, but because the mysterious rune on Yuru's forehead was too powerful. The light of the bright moon instantly imprisoned all the spiritual energy around the Grey Guardian, and even the douqi within the Grey Guardian had a hint of solidification. After all, something that can be related to Do Xian is definitely extraordinary. Seeing that Xiaoyan and the others ended the battle, the others present also knew that they were planning to strike the final blow. Boom boom boom. The terrifying power radiated from Wang Zhong, and then slowly poured into the black sword in his hand. The black sword is simple and making it look like an ancient giant sword. Strangely, even if Wang Zhong madly poured a huge energy into the black sword did not have any power. Could it be that something went wrong? The strong people present couldn't help but think, but then they thought about it again. The sword madman in the dignified Sword King city should not be like this. Puff puff. Wang Zhong still has a strong will to fight in his eyes. From the battle with this guardian just now, Wang Zhong's perception of sword intent has improved a lot. Pick me up. After Wang Zhong finished speaking, there was a fierce look in his eyes, and then he raised the black sword in his hand. The black sword was lifted up, and it immediately exuded a monstrous atmosphere. Countless sword shadows appeared next to the black sword, roaring towards the guardian. Sword damage to kill. At this time, Wang Zhong's eyes showed a lot of madness, and the black sword in his hand also burst out with amazing power. This is the realm of unity of man and sword? There are many discerning people present who can see it at a glance. Although Wang Zhong is just getting started with sword unity, he is invincible among his peers. The unity of man and sword is the fusion of the power of man and the power of the sword. The power of the two is extremely terrifying. Boom boom boom. The aftermath of the circle of battles dissipated, and the guardian also coughed a few times, and then a mouthful of blood spurted out. When the guardian saw this, he also returned to the stone steps. If he loses, he loses. The third place to fight. Sun Ming's whole body exudes a monstrous and tyrannical aura. Even if he is full of scars, it does not affect Sun Ming's attack on the guardian at all. One punch, a kick. With such constant battles, the blood will only make Sun Ming's maddening effect even more pronounced. No matter how powerful the guardian's attack was, Sun Ming also used his body to resist it, and his strength continued to rise as he was injured again and again. Puff puff. The guardian was also defeated in the battle of Sun Ming's life-for-life battle. The third guardian moved back to the stone steps. The demon is constantly dealing with the guardian, relying on her own strong and flexible movement, dodging the attack of the guardian, and then giving the guardian a strong counterattack. Feng Yi knew that he could not fight in actual combat, so he watched the timing closely, and the terrifying soul attack instantly attacked the guardian. Even with the strength of the guardian, who's at the peak of 3-star Dode, facing Feng Yi, who is dedicated in practicing medicinal refining and soul power, it is still uncomparable. After all, Feng Yi's soul power is at the emperor rank, and the soul of the emperor level is adding a terrifying soul attack, and the guardian is sluggish for a second at this moment, and the demon seizes the opportunity and defeats it with one blow. As a result, the fourth guardian failed. The fifth guardian Martial illusion and the living dead. The living dead, surrounded by black dochi, confronted the guardian with the fire attribute, and the dead man, whose black dochi was suppressed by the fire attribute, had no choice but to do it, and then he could assist Wu Huan on the side. Wu Huan also looked at the results in other places, and, regardless of other things, he used his vindictive energy to defeat the guardian with all his might. The fifth guardian failed. Looking at the sixth guardian, with the passage of time, he has actually recovered to the strength of a half-step 4-star Dode. It is no wonder that hundreds of people are struggling to cope. Boom boom boom. Violent dochis attacked the guardian in all directions. The guardian also waved his hand casually in the face of danger, and those seemingly tyrannical dochi were shattered. The other battles in the field are also over, but the other 100 men is still fighting. Everyone, this guardian is already at the end of the line. As long as we work together and strike with all our strength, we will definitely be able to defeat him. Bai Shan also stood up at this moment and said, the last guardian at the moment, after defeating this guardian, he can get his hands on which immortal level do skills, and even, the so-called great fortune. When everyone heard Bai Shan's words, they felt it was reasonable, and immediately aroused the dochi in their bodies, and then a colorful dochi in the team of 100 gathered together, transformed into a huge dragon, roaring and roaring towards the guardian. Go! The terrifying force directly broke through the guardian's defense, and then slammed into the guardian's body viciously. Boom boom boom. A circle of terrifying energy exploded, and the guardian in front of him also stepped back a few steps under this terrifying power. As a result, the 6 guardians have been defeated, and those who defeated the guardians got the light of the immortal level do skills from the guardians. He went straight back to the stone steps, and then looked at the white clothes under the bones. Since you can pass the assessment, that's all. This great fortune should belong to your younger generation. Wearing white clothes, he turned his head slowly and looked at the unstable atmosphere of the people in the hall. Come here for me, boy. Wearing white clothes and facing Xiaoyan, he grabbed the void, and then Xiaoyan appeared in front of the former. What caught Xiaoyan's eyes was a delicate face, with a slender body and white clothes that looked so outstanding. If he hadn't looked at it from a close distance, Xiaoyan would not have believed that such a delicate man could exist in the world. Then, dressed in white, he also grabbed at the void. Why are you sneaking around since you're here? Bang bang bang. The space shattered, revealing a girl with a bamboo hat and a green lotus. Chapter 60, A Mysterious Stunning Beauty. Bang bang bang. As a white robe grabbed the void in front of him, a girl appeared in the hidden void. Senior really has good eyesight. The void in front of the white clothes suddenly shattered, revealing a girl with a hat. In Xiaoyan's mind, there was a brief drowsiness when the silver bell sounded. It must be known that Xiaoyan has the soul of the emperor, and the only thing that can make Xiaoyan have such a situation is the absolute suppression of his strength. But then Xiaoyan came back to his senses. Since this guy in white didn't attack him, it's not a bad thing to think about. Let's take it step by step. Xiaoyan had a plan in his heart, and there was a flash of astonishment in his eyes. He hurriedly raised his head, and then saw a blue-red light in front of him shattered from the front of the white clothes, and the shattered void finally turned into a blue-red lotus seat. On the green lotus, there is a graceful curve, the forehead is covered with a bamboo hat, and although there is a tulle covering the cheeks, the pair of crystal-like eyes makes the whole world in this hall momentarily dim. The woman was dressed in a light-colored Confucian skirt. Her eyebrows were like green feathers, her muscles were like white snow, her waist was like a bunch of plain fabrics, and her cheeks covered under the tulle were clear and full of hope, exuding a holy power all over her body, which made people feel a little bit of elegant atmosphere, as if the world was overshadowed by it. Such a woman, such a beautiful temperament, and such strength, is indeed rare in the world. The entire hall, which was slightly noisy, also became silent at this moment. Although the woman's cheeks were covered by a tulle hat, the looming outline from the gap of the hat revealed an almost perfect cheek arc. The thread, so that everyone present could not wait to tear open the tulle under the bamboo hat, and see the stunning appearance that was enough to make Yura feel sad. What a beautiful woman! Xiaoyan's eyes stared at the woman in the Confucian skirt with bare jade feet and stepping on Qinglian, but she couldn't help but take a deep breath. Among the women she had ever seen, Kaylin was the most beautiful woman she had ever seen. It has a style, but in front of the mysterious woman in front of him, she is still slightly inferior. However, although this woman's voice was soft and melodious, Xiaoyan never saw the slightest softness in those crystal-clear eyes. Instead, it was a profound indifference that rejected others. Thinking about it, this woman is obviously the kind of person who is hot on the outside and cold on the inside. It is like a gorgeous flower that has never bloomed in a land of ice and snow for thousands of years. This kind of woman is even more difficult to deal with than a woman with a frosty appearance. Not to mention strength and appearance. Who is this woman? Xiaoyan tilted his head, looked at Yuero under the stone steps, and said softly. Yuero frowned slightly, and there was some doubt in her eyes. Even with her appearance and temperament, she couldn't help but feel a trace of jealousy in her heart. It seems that this woman's background is not small. As for what her background is, it is not my identity that I can know. Bai Shan, who was on the side, interjected at this time. Being able to use the void to hide under the eyes of a person in white clothes, this woman will definitely not be an ordinary person. Xiaoyan nodded slightly and muttered in his heart. The little girl's name is Sushuiying, and she came here this time only to get the blood of the emperor. The stunning woman fell from midair, her jade feet slowly standing on the lotus platform, like a woman who was out of this world. I didn't expect your people from Tianyuan continent to be interested in my Xianling continent. Wu Huan looked at the mysterious woman, with some undisguised fiery. Such a beautiful woman, as long as he was a man, he would be tempted, but he didn't want to hide it. It's just a coincidence. Then Sushuiying said with a smile, then her eyes turned to white clothes, and she said softly, since the senior has guarded it for thousands of years, it should be handed over to us. Let's go out and take a good look at this great world. I've been guarding the hall for thousands of years, isn't that what you said? But what you said is true. If the people present don't have the power of flame to protect their bodies, they should leave as soon as possible. A white robe also laughed. Wu Huan, the living dead, and Feng Yi, the proud son of the heavens, heard what he said, and then looked at Xiaoyan in front of the white clothes. Obviously that kid Xiaoyan has an extremely powerful flame power. Damn. Did we just have to give up since we got here? There were inevitably some people present who were unwilling to say. Entering this ferocious and dangerous ruins, originally was walking on the tip of a knife, but all of them were in the main hall, only a few steps away from the most precious thing. At this time, obviously no one would do it. There were several strong men in the hall who were obviously unwilling to leave like this, so they flew towards the skeleton behind the white coat, trying to get that little treasure. Bang bang bang. Before the few people flew past the stone steps, they turned into blood mist under the terrifying strength of the white clothes, and even their souls did not have time to run away. Dressed in white clothes, his body was covered with douqi, and his terrifying strength instantly spread in the hall. 5-star douqi? The people present couldn't help but be surprised, and this man dressed in white is definitely more than a 5-star douqi. The difference between the 3-star douqi and the 4-star douqi is not even a little. Even if it is a battle between the heavens chosen of the 7 great cities and the 4-star douqi, there is no chance of winning. After a short thought, life still overcomes greed. After all, even if you get a good treasure without your life, it will only be easy for others. Moreover, there are also some heavenly materials and earthly treasures in this ruins, and the heavens chosen of the 7 great city also obtained an immortal rank Do skill, which is not a small gain. Although they are helpless, they had to leave the hall. Go. Yuero, be careful afterwards, wait for me to come back. Xiaoyan also saw that the 6 injured guardians and the white-clothed woman in the hall were still stunning. Can you say it now? Why do you want to suppress your own strength to enter this ruin? Dressed in white, he saw everyone in the hall leave, and then asked the woman on the Qinglian stage. Because of this, the Qinglian woman raised her jade hand slightly, and a simple token appeared in her hand, and then flew towards the white clothes. At the moment when the simple token appeared, the pupils of the 6 guardians under the stone steps shrank tightly. Dressed in white, he slowly caught the token that flew over from the Qinglian woman, and a scorching energy came from his hand, and then he slowly spread the token in his hand. Fire. There is only one big word on the token. Then, dressed in white, he slowly closed his eyes. Is she okay? She has been waiting for someone. Immediately after wearing white clothes, he also opened his eyes, obviously looking inconceivable. Really? Whether it's true or not, can you find out if senior goes to see it? The woman also said,